mentioned how people over the years have asked if I would do it again. And my answer really has been, I would hope my answer would be no. Because it's not worth it. I caused my hell on earth as a descriptive and really didn't put a dent in anything. And that's why when I hear truthers and freedom types and everybody else trying to say, oh, we can make a difference, you're not making a difference within anything, because of the power structure in the civilization. Hello, it's January 2025, and once again this video is inspired by my comments and replies disappearing on a video on a channel. And it ceases to amaze me how these people, truther and freedom types, do the very thing that they claim to be against: tyranny. Censorship is a part of tyranny. And they do this continuously, especially when someone like myself comes along and points out the truth, the facts. They don't like it, so they have to silence you. The person with the channel can delete comments, and then you have other people who are triggered, will flag the comment or reply because they don't want to see it, because they're emotionally, I was going to say charged, but I would say emotionally challenged. They do the very thing that they're against. And a lot of these truther and freedom types have no clue what they're even talking about. And my comments and replies, and even my post in the comment, usually just ask questions, knowing that the answers that they will give will direct them to the truth, the facts. Now, I want you to think about something. A lot of these people talk about tyranny with government and all this other stuff. The government has to go and everything else. And over the past, say, 4 or 5 years, I've asked people, okay, question, you've accomplished all that, then what? You can tell the answer, because if these people say were to take over everything, from the elite types to government to everything, they were to take over everything, there'd be a worse tyranny in the world than there is now, real or perceived. But these people actually think that they're doing some good. And the video that I'm talking about here has to do with someone that I've addressed several years ago, talked about in a few videos, and using overlays ever since, and how everyone's calling this individual a hero. And not too long ago in the video, I stated that these people can relate to people like him because he thinks and acts and does exactly how they are. The difference between him and them is the rest were too scared to do what he did. And I'm not condoning what he did. But everyone propping up these false prophet types, and I've done videos about this, and supporting and everything else. And yet there are people like me who have done more and sacrificed more than all these people and all these fake heroes put together. And I've said in a video, I believe it was back in the summer, that the commoner today are the same types of people who would pick barbarish, or in English, barbarous, from the story, the character in the Christian Bible. The same type of people today. And ironically, what inspired me using that reference is because a lot of these people are praying for this guy and the other people who were convicted and serving sentences and everything else, and using Christian references. They don't see who they truly are. So the real focus here is, aside from the frustration, is how these people do the very thing that they claim to be against, and that is tyranny. Now I'm lost for words. And I mentioned being frustrated because over the years, everything that I've gone through, I stood alone. And I still stand alone in the aftermath, trying to survive. Now, perhaps I should just briefly, very briefly, explain efforts and sacrifice and everything that involves. The first time I began to whistleblow, expose, or anything else was in the late 90s, and it cost me the woman that I married, because she ended up being taken to a small country in Africa. This involved government officials on the federal level and these sex trade agencies on international level. Cost me everything. And then after the brief time that I walked with the elite types of the world, began to share things that I learned firsthand, things that I know. And that began my demise. And then came Alberta. And my efforts there to not only whistleblow and expose the sex trafficking, the sexual abuse of vulnerable women at a non-profit organization, which was funded 60% by the Alberta government, but also the police, judicial, political corruption in that province. That cost me my physical health after two now former police officers beat me, leaving me partly disabled for the rest of my life. I was falsely charged, made up charges, wrongfully convicted just over 40 months after, jailed. Nobody cared. Because that's the intelligence of truther and freedom types. They cannot recognize someone who's actually trying to do something to help society. I exposed police, judicial, and political corruption. There was political interference with my case, which would make me more of a political prisoner than the so-called heroes of this protest of rubber. I didn't go around exaggerating that I was a political prisoner. The people who were convicted regarding the protest of rubber had nothing to do with the protest. That's not why they're convicted. They were convicted because of peripheral matters. And I did state this when everything began in 2020, 2021, that there'd be peripheral matters that they're going to impose on people, because People are not that intelligent, and it played out back then, playing out again. And this is why people like me regret our efforts. People you've never heard of. It's a sad, sad world. But hopefully, these truther and freedom types do not have their way and follow government and everything else and take over, because the world would truly be in a worse state than it is now. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people say to me, when is it going to get easier? When you die.